Pardon me?
Were you the last in the donut line?
No, I was actually doing some work. I was just standing there filling my face.
All right.
Can I say something before we start?
Please.
Okay. I have hearing aids. I don't hear very well. So I'm doing my part. So if y'all could speak up, please. There, you know, and
We will.
yeah, voices drop off and.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why my dad quit the class. He went in there.
Okay. I want to hear what you have to say because I learned from you guys.
I
So
appreciate
please
the
speak
reminder.
up. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of older people in here, let me tell you.
And I broke out and actually wore my, I don't normally wear my mic, but I said, wow, I can hear now.
I understand what you're going through with my dad.
And a couple of weeks ago, I had I really couldn't hear, and everybody's talking to me, and I got really bored.
You know, in rooms like this, the sound just sort of disappears.
All right, I just, Laura was reading the pew, so it's okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. I appreciate you sticking with us. We've lost a few in number for various reasons, but
Well, yeah. Only temporarily.
hopefully temporarily. Hopefully. All right, let's go ahead and start off with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the day that you've given us. We thank you for the slightly increased warmer weather, hopefully to get us towards springtime. We ask you to be with us as we study, be with us as we discuss, and let us continue to learn more about how we can guard ourselves against the evil one. Be with us this day during our conversation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Chapters 11, 12, and 13.
And possibly just 14.
We'll get to 14 next week.
Okay.
Yeah. So 11, 12, and 13. Chapter 11. What was the focus? What was the focus of chapter 11?
Humor.
Does anybody remember? Humor.
Come on, man.
So what are the four types of humor?
Joy, fun, joke, and flippancy.
Joy, fun, the joke proper, and flippancy.
Yeah.
Which one does the devil hate?
Joy.
Joy.
That's an easy one.
No, I.
That's an easy one because we all know the joy is the Lord's domain. But what's the distinction between humor and what part of humor is joy?
Us humans.
Humans, okay, but so humans have joy, but why? But what's the hallmark of joy? What distinguishes it from the other types of humor?
I would think that it makes you feel good,
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so there's a physical aspect to it.
you know, you think of like, I say sarcasm is humor, but I think it's mean.
Okay,
And, you know, to uplift somebody or, you know, that's what I think.
okay. Any other thoughts of why what separates joy from the other types of humor?
I feel like joy is, you don't always feel happy in your day-to-day, but joy is something where even if you're in the trenches, you can still feel that joy from the presence of God. So it's something that's harder to take away. I know the book didn't specifically say that.
Well, but it transcends the situation.
Not dependent on circumstances.
Not dependent upon circumstances. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I think it also transcends, I mean, we really aren't separate, but we talk about body, soul, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think joy is both in the soul and the spirit.
Okay. So joy is more coming from within than from without. It's from but I mean it's something that God puts in you in
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tranquility. I think.
tranquility.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's peace.
Because you can be grieving and still.
And still have joy.
Some joy.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I said, is it really, it's outside of the circumstances, it's not dependent upon what's going on necessarily in the world, it's from something that God puts inside of you. Okay, what about fun? The devil's not too fond of fun either, unless he can use it as a distraction.
Owl would, no, sorry. Devil, wood, and owl.
And flesh, yeah.
Flesh.
Yeah, that's right. So fun is just that enjoyment of life.
Maybe it's an outward expression of joy.
I think so. I think there's a relationship between the two.
Mm-hmm.
That it's that you're enjoying whatever the circumstance that you're in. It's that, because the fun is, you talk about, watch the kids are having fun. The kids they're doing something and they're kind of enjoying a relationship, they're enjoying what's going on at that moment. So, but again, those first two, this is a point that he kind of makes later, and he comes back to it, but it's something that hit me. Joy and fun are grounded in what he would consider reality.
Right.
The reality of God and the reality of the world. So there's a tangible connection. Now when you get to the joke proper and you get to flippancy, those are the ones that start to potentially have negative effects.
And
So talk about the joke proper. So what about the joke proper can be good and what can be bad? I thought it was an interesting distinction that he made, and I want to make sure we talk through it, because it's a little ethereal the way he describes it.
how that can that do to times either my delivery.
So with the joke proper, what is humor based on? What does he say humor is in the joke? What is the joke based on?
A lot of times on the truth.
Hmm?
A lot of times it's on the truth, we laugh at.
But it's what he gets into the discussion of incongruency. That it's to me that they always talk about when you're telling a joke, the thing that makes a joke funny is that it goes somewhere you're not expecting.
Yeah.
And it's that incongruity that is where the humor derives from. And then he talks about, well, if the incongruity is the focus of it, that's not necessarily good for the devil. If you're laughing at something how did he say it? It's a really fine line, because he gets into this whole discussion about body humor.
Laughing at something evil, he likes that.
Yeah, he likes it, that if you're laughing at the incongruity that just happens to be about a certain subject, that's not something that necessarily that the devil can use. But if you're creating a joke, you're creating the incongruity, you're creating that situation as an excuse to be able to talk about something you're not supposed to talk about, that's when it starts to get dangerous.
He enjoys when you talk about something serious and you joke about it.
And that's flippancy, and that's when we get into flippancy, where it's something that is not supposed to be funny, but we really poke fun at it, or we say things that are not necessarily. And this is where I think this starts to edge into sarcasm, where there's a potential cruelty to it. And this one, I'll be honest with you, this one hits me because I have a very sarcastic wit.
Oh, we wouldn't know that.
I know. It's shocking.
I will joke that sarcasm is one of my spiritual gifts.
You just have to make sure that you're using the correct form of spiritual.
Amen
Yes.
to that.
But it can be risky.
It can be. To me, the hallmark, the difference between what I would consider ribbing and true sarcasm is the intent. if you're doing it in order to lighten the mood, in order to, and this is me talking, so this is not necessarily Lewis, and we'll talk about the distinction between the two. But for me, if you're using it as a way to, again, to lighten a potentially serious situation, not making fun of it or not trying to make it less than it is, but trying to let people take a breath, then I think it's less concerning. If you're using it to be cruel, which is unfortunately a lot of the ways that it does get used, then I think it is problematic. So to me, it's the intent that's behind it. But you don't hear that a lot from what Lewis says. I think the way he describes it, and that's why I said this one was kind of convicting to me, is to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Even at I am watching my
Yep. All right. Go ahead.
Question.
Yeah.
Could it be also, because it talks about the armor plating that it puts up on the person who's using it. And really, to me, when I look at that, it's all about pride. All of it's about pride.
I agree.
If you're making a joke at someone's expense because you think they're less than you or you think you're better than they are in that area, then that becomes pride. You're using a joke to express how much superior you feel to that other person. And so it seems like that all the jokes, are you using them to uplift the other person, to make things lighter, to improve the situation by causing laughter and joy? Or are you using it to lift yourself up by hurting the other person? Maybe.
I think that's a good thought, that's a good comment. Again, anybody who's ever taken a class with me, I have a thing that I always go back to, that of all the sins in the world, there's really only one.
Pride.
And it's pride.
And
pride is at the absolute base of every sin.
Well, I think sin can be counted as a joke.
Yeah, we definitely do that.
Oh, I know.
And then it's excused.
I know why I said something. I think that Baba man, he has been close from pride. Because of that, he has been close on that purpose of that, because pride, it goes, I don't know.
Goes before the fall, right? Yeah. Well, that's a good point. So we talk about pride going before the fall, and this is, and to me that ties right back into the joking, is that the whole point of joking in the flippancy side of it is to kind of laugh at the fall, to point fun at the fall, and in a not nice way, in a not positive way. Hold on one second. He also talks about another way that the devil can use humor, that can use jokes, that will, and again, I don't know if anybody caught it, but he talks about to lessen shame. Somebody tell me what he means by that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's saying like, cruelty is shameful, this is just a quote from the book.
Yeah.
Cruelty is shameful unless the cruel man can represent it as a practical joke. Wait, really supposed to be, because I remember like in college, like when I was in ROTC and stuff, like there are a lot of times where there are things that like people would say that you wouldn't say just in a normal conversation, but because it was posed as a joke, people were like, oh, that's funny, that's excusable. And then later you think about it, it's like, but really, was it that funny? You know, it's very easy to be like, I'm joking, lighten up. Like, how many times have you heard someone say, lighten up, it's a joke? But when you can tell, like, the intent of whatever's being said is not really a joke, it's just,
They use it as an excuse.
yeah, so they can say it.
They're
And
they're amusing themselves at your expense. Yep.
And I mean, I know I've been guilty of that as well. Like, it's, but that's an easy.
That's what I said, is this whole chapter, I was like, let's just, can I get to chapter 12 now? I like this one. I'm not a fan of 11.
Yes, maybe it.
Maybe there's a reason behind that.
And your son is just like
Well,
you.
I know. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and dive into chapter 12. Not that I'm avoiding it, but let's go ahead and talk about chapter 12. 12 and 13 to me are mirror images of each other. In 12, he starts off with something that I think is an interesting, and I don't think it's that foreign to us as a concept, but he says that he was glad to hear that the patient was still a churchgoer. Why would the devil be glad of that?
Because as long as you're carrying out the habits and just the religiosity of it, then you're not much of a danger. You can still think of yourself as a Christian if you're doing all the Christian-y things.
You still think you're okay.
You still think you're okay, yeah.
Others? Go ahead.
I would say that because you're going to be around Christians, as you slowly fade, you can bring others with you.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
That's another big danger. So do we do this?
No.
Do we find ourselves in this position
Sometimes.
where we're just, you ever find yourself halfway through a church service and you're like, yeah, I don't remember anything that just happened. I know I participated, but I have no idea what just happened.
Yes.
Kind of going through the motions. I always laugh. There's a saying that was out. I don't know. Doesn't matter when. 10, 15 years ago. That it said, going to church being in church doesn't make you a Christian any more than being in a garage makes you a car.
No.
And I thought I always looked asking myself, am I being a car right now? So you've got 2 times the danger. 1, you're going through the motions. 2, you could bring others down with you. So what does Screwtape want to avoid? What does Screwtape want to avoid the patient doing?
He doesn't want him to realize that he's not quite as enthusiastic about his journey of becoming a Christian as he was a few months ago. He doesn't want him to realize like there's been some slipping.
And how does he do this?
It's a patient to think less about the enemy.
Say again?
It's the patient to think less about the enemy.
So right, so to not pay attention or not focus on God, focus on what he's doing in church or what he's doing as a Christian,
Right.
and not why he's doing it.
By not having depth in our belief, I don't think we are as likely to recognize our sin.
Yeah.
You
Talk
can,
more about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
you can adopt the habits of Christianity without the internal transformation, without the internal spiritual growth.
So are the habits dangerous?
No.
No,
No.
the foundation.
So there to me is the interesting balance, or the interesting dichotomy, is you have 2 people that are doing the exact same habits, and they're in two completely different places spiritually. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's where, Jesus said, let the tares grow with the wheat. Kind of confused about that a little bit, because.
They'll let them grow up together, and then he'll separate them at the end.
No.
Yeah, that's,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of scary to think that we're talking about being religious, but not really being within the Christian inside, just doing all the motions and so forth.
so if you're worried about being in that situation, what would Screwtape say to you?
I think he would give you like the sense, there's like, it talks about this like guilt where it's like, I feel guilty, I don't even wanna think about it. Like a reluctance that he creates to kind of push you away and be like, I'm still going to church, I'm still a Christian.
He loves lukewarm
Yeah.
Christians.
Yeah, but because I feel this guilt, I don't want to address it. So it's kind of like this.
And I love the word pictures that he uses. The whole notion of, well, a broke man never wants to look at a checkbook. That's just that just brings it all together. Because again, it's if I sit and think about it, then I'm gonna realize just how bad I am, and then then I'm in this spiral that from Screwtape's perspective is not helpful. But if he can get you to think just enough about it to be able to do the habits, but not enough to actually internalize it, keeps you right on that fringe and can kind of push you along and let you continue to drift.
Um,
Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you very much. I need that. Do you think that C.S. Lewis was wanting of the Holy Trinity is in main Christianity. I've been thinking like in the voice of the dawn. That the sun behind the blue wall is like video to between heaven and earth. I think that C.S. Lewis was wanting that the Holy Trinity, that Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, these are kind of that terms of between us and possibly the God the Father. I've been thinking that God the Father was not being able behind us and see or able over the sea.
I'll tell you what, let's well, if you want to, we can talk about the Dawn Treader afterwards, because I do agree with you that there's a lot of visions of the Trinity in there. I agree.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ken.
Some thoughts about, we're talking about sloth. Why does it occur? How can it encourage, discourage?
My notion
What-
is sloth
what-
can be
you-
between, somewhat close to laziness. That
What,
could be the internal thing. One other thing that happens within a group, the people around you are just as lazy as you are. You're a sloth, they're a sloth. That keeps people getting out of my slothiness.
Sure, sure.
Even within the church, in your workplace, whatever. Lazy people will stay together. I'm not gonna work any harder than he is.
There's definitely an aspect of that where we lean on other people's inability to get out of their own way just as much as we do on ours. Hey Brian, it makes it hard for some of the other people to hear when we're having two conversations, so let's keep it focused, okay? Thank you.
No,
No, I think you're right, I think we, I wanna say enjoy, but we tolerate, or we sometimes enjoy, I guess, being around other people that are being slothful, being lazy, because again, it keeps us from being convicted. If we're around people that are actually working and trying and getting themselves to focus on the fact that they're not always necessarily paying attention to what they're doing, that convicts us, and we don't like to feel that way.
but.
So I think you're absolutely right, it's a self-perpetuating thing.
We feel guilty about our lack of depth in our beliefs when we're around others that have strong convictions.
We don't like to feel guilty.
Right.
That's something that we don't enjoy. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Dave.
I was wondering about the guy that's always on the line, on the border all the time, you just won't go over, you know, I mean.
Well, it's to give himself options. He walks that line so he has the options of where he wants to go.
Yeah.
If he chooses a side, then he loses his options.
What?
Well, God says he hardens.
Yes, he does.
They harden their hearts, so.
Yes,
I think Screw Tape would tell him he's doing a good job.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why since the school tip lecture is trying to tell me about is about this, about my dividends. Those are cars different. They're all make believe.
Yeah.
And plus they're not.
Well, they're make-believe, but they talk about something that's very real, and I think that's what's helpful. Sometimes those things help us. But what does he talk about? The safest road to hell.
Is when you do something gradually, you insert something, take for instance, on TV. 20 years ago, you wouldn't hear the words that you hear on TV now.
Absolutely agree.
But you insert one word
And
then let it go. Then you insert another word, let it go. And so all of a sudden you don't realize, you just think it's normal.
Yeah, there's a desensitization that happens that's definitely, and that's all around us. That's in everything in everyday life. The things that 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago would have been considered just completely either, if not taboo, just abnormal, are now, we've normalized, I always say we normalize deviancy.
Yeah.
We normalize sinfulness in order to make it palatable or acceptable for, not only for future generations, but for ourselves as well. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, even politicians, which we not even think about saying evil words, even when it's common, which makes the public less sensitive all the time.
True.
I'm thinking, I was thinking about when I was in book club in school, we had to read the what they call like Louis May Alderman and stuff like what do you call it? The professionals, the old.
The old classics.
Classic, thank you. And now, you know, I mean, anything goes, and they could read anything, it's not, like prudence anymore, they don't even know what that is.
To me, it's interesting, what's interesting when you say that, we read this, and the language that's used in it is so foreign to us.
Right.
That he writes in a language and uses verbiage that we have to kind of take a step back and really think about what he's trying to say, because it's so outside of our norm, because we've dumbed down language. We've made it, it used to be able to read stuff at a college level or beyond, and now you're reading everything at a second or third grade level, because that's just the norm now.
Right.
And again,
With honors.
that's an extreme example, but I think it's an example of the same point, is that we've taken everything and tried to make it as base as possible in order to be able to keep people from feeling bad. Well, we don't want to use big language because that makes people feel bad. Well, how about we use language to help bring people up?
Exactly.
Right.
I do think, like you were talking about how we desensitize things on one end, I think on the other end, we also start to like gradually they'll start slipping in words like, you know, they use the word hateful a lot in regards to the Christian, and they get it to a point where, you know, nowadays a lot of the non-secular community hears the word church and they're like I had a girl, I said something about going to, when I like taking my Annabeth to church, she's like, oh, that must be overstimulating for her. And I'm like, what?
Overstimulating.
I'm like,
She was.
Well, but we've created, and again, that's another good
That's
point.
their excuses of them not going
yeah.
or
How many
participating.
times 50, 60 years ago did you hear the word anxiety?
What?
We've created, and again, I don't say that to poke fun at people that potentially have issues, but we've created this, both this desensitized in one situation and a hypersensitive in another situation, where we're so focused on every single possible thing that could go wrong. Again, I'm still the, this just shows how old I'm getting. I'm still the believer that we've created the situation for children that is so sanitized, and so we gotta Purell on everything, and we gotta keep them from getting any germs whatsoever, that we've basically destroyed their immune systems. They can't tolerate somebody sneezing on them.
Plus, we've also said everyone gets a trophy. So we don't wanna hurt anyone's feelings, we don't want anyone to think that they lost. We want everyone to be a winner.
But how does this all tie back in together? Is that we've created this, everybody has to be the same, everybody has to be this, so in order to be able to be the same, it's the lowest common denominator for everything.
Yeah.
And that goes with behavior, that goes with language, that goes with virtually everything. We don't want anybody to be a standout, we don't want anybody to excel because somebody else is gonna feel better, somebody else is gonna get hurt. Well, all of a sudden we've created this low expectations, low impact on everything. And again, things that are big, sins that are big, he talks about, you don't need murder when cards would do. Which I think was just a, first of all, I'm thinking, cards is a sin? What are you talking? Again, it's a different world.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think part of it is we were designed by God to be adventure and joy, and we were designed for big and bold, every person in some way. We're all different. Somebody might be a bold singer, somebody might just be bold in their read, they read voraciously and then help other people understand that book or whatever. But we were designed for big and bold in every one of us. And it seems like Satan wants to take away the boldness from us and make us so small, and take away joy and give us happy. Take away big and bold and give us boring and blah, so that we crave more. We were built for more, So then we start, well, we don't have our joy anymore. We don't have our big and bold anymore. We don't have our purpose anymore, because that was part of our purpose that God gave us. And so then we start substituting, well, I have this big hole in me where the big and bold was supposed to be. So now I'm gonna substitute sex. I'm gonna substitute drugs. I'm gonna substitute whatever it is, or it could be cards, whatever, to make up for that hole. And all that is Satan taking away the reality of what we were supposed to be. God made us real. Our real is bold. Our real is big. And giving us a fake reality. Like, we think it's real, but it's really a fake life that we're living if we're not living what God wanted us to do.
Perfect segue to chapter 13. Absolutely perfect segue to chapter 13. Why does Screwtape get angry at Wormwood? What did Wormwood do? What did Wormwood allow the patient to do? There were two things that he allowed him to do.
Repent.
Real
I'm
joy.
thinking, but think about it from the context of what Suzanne was just saying. What did he allow? He allowed him to take a walk
In the woods.
in the nature that he enjoyed, and to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And to read a book.
Without
And
him
read a
to
book.
And to read a book
Yeah.
just for the pleasure of reading the book. Not, and this was to me was I don't want to say a big thing, but this one I kind of picked my eye up. And not to read the book so that you could show other people what you learned in the book.
Yeah.
To read it just for the enjoyment.
And
Doesn't matter what the book was, doesn't matter where the walk was, that's irrelevant. But he created a sense of joy. And you said something that I think that I keyed in on, that Screwtape keys in on, is that when you do that, you allow him to be regrounded in reality.
You see the passion again. Like Suzanne's talking about, we've lost our passion for anything. Everything just became blah.
So, but why is this dangerous? Aside from allowing us to reawaken our passion, allowing us to get grounded in reality, why is that dangerous from Screwtape's perspective?
I feel like it really casts light on all of the lies that you start to believe when you start to feel joy, and then all those thoughts that tend to keep you down. It's a lot harder for them to really pick you apart when you're like, well, when you have that joy. It's easier when you don't have the joy to be like, to believe all the lies. If that.
You're seeking other joy.
Yeah, seeking other, and I guess you don't have to try and seek this joy because you have it, and you're like, oh, well, maybe that thought I had yesterday isn't actually true. That kind of breaks that foundation, that living.
So he wants us to keep us from experiencing that joy, and to keep us, and he uses the phrase, the spiritual drift. And if I apologize, I forget the man's, I think his name's David. One of the gentlemen that's been in the class, unfortunately he wasn't able to join us today, but he keyed on one word picture that Lewis uses about referring to God as the sun, and that we're in orbit around the sun, and the notion of this getting us into this malaise and getting us into this kind of going through the motions allows us to just be able to just drift off into space. And that was a word picture that really caught his attention, and I like the way that it if you visualize it in that way, that by getting back into something that's joyful, by doing something purely for the joy of it, we kind of refine that connection with that orbit. We get back into orbit, and we start to really focus back on God again. And it's, to me, that is that's something that we need to pay attention to on a day-to-day basis. I mean, just being in church, just enjoying the music.
And
not just singing for the sake of singing, but enjoy the song, enjoy the worship.
Yeah.
To find that joy that God is trying to give us.
Right.
It's the presence of the Holy Spirit.
I would agree with that. Go ahead, Dave.
I think that's where he's trying to gets away from fellowship, you know, get away from, don't let them get involved with other people, don't let them enjoy the, you know, or can read the books that are, you know, you can brag about, not just enjoy, that kind of stuff.
So you hit on something that's interesting. So there's a difference between, a couple of chapters ago, he was, and again, I think in I would think it was chapter 10, he encouraged him to continue his relationship with these new friends.
Right.
But why? What's the difference between his relationship with those friends and what you just described as fellowship?
Well, the difference is they have no conscience about leading people away. They're not, you know, they're bad influence.
They're bad influences, but dig a little deeper. Why are they bad influences? What do they do in their discussions versus what we have in a true fellowship with other Christians?
Don't they contradict God?
They contradict God, that's part of it, so they're actively speaking against God, that's definitely a part of it, but what else?
The other thing, they try to substitute something else.
Flip it, say again?
Substitute, you know, real joy we get through fellowshipping with something else, you know, like just having fun, eating together or something like that.
So is there a problem with just having fun and eating together with somebody?
No, not at all. I did it yesterday.
So you hope there's nothing wrong with it because you did it yesterday. But again, think about the distinction. Are you doing it? So again, to me, when I read the discussions about his friendships with these other people, those friendships are always some sort of a subtle competition.
Yeah.
That I've got to prove myself smarter than the other person, or I've got to prove what I know and what they don't know, and I have to try to continuously be the best, or whatever the case may be, and that slowly kind of leads us away. Whereas when you're talking about true fellowship, what's the goal? It's to find the things that you have in common. It's to
Enjoy each other.
To enjoy the company, to again be grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And look at the distinction between those two friend groups.
That's kind of a tough task because right now I'm really interested in the WNBA because of Catelyn Clark.
Yep.
Paid no attention to that before her. Now, you know, I don't want that to distract me from, you know, fellowshipping from believers. But I like that game now. So, but I'm not going to let it. I don't know.
No, that's fine. And again, so the Olympics are on. How many people have been watching the Olympics?
Yeah.
I don't.
Is there anything wrong with watching the Olympics?
No, I don't.
What if you're watching the Olympics to the exclusion of everything else? What if you're watching the Olympics? What if you're sitting in church and you're checking the Olympics updates on your phone? But again, it's the
game.
Is it an enjoyment or is it a distraction?
Right. That's what I'm bringing. That's what I'm trying to say. You know,
I think it's
an
okay.
enjoyment. It can become a distraction. You know, it could become.
That's what the record button is for.
Again, you go back a few chapters ago, he talks about that extremes in anything are to be encouraged with the exception of extreme devotion to the enemy.
Right.
That if he can get us completely focused on something that's wholly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, great. That's all the better for Satan.
Yeah.
But again, but he also simultaneously wants us to not be really excited about anything.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Again, the dichotomy is shocking to me.
I like to think of it as like the difference between enjoying something and obsessing over something.
That's fair.
I feel like when people obsess over things, there's not really joy there. It's more of like I don't want to say chemical addiction because it's not always chemical.
It's kind of like an addiction, I agree.
But it's more of like it really takes over. But I think if you really look into it and you're like, and think like deeper, you're like, wait, this doesn't really give me the joy that I like am searching for. And I think a lot of times that's why you try to like make that more about your life, like your life more about whatever it is you're obsessing over, versus being able to enjoy something and purely just enjoy it without it becoming this obsession. And I think that's it's a thin line.
He uses a set of qualifiers. Don't let them just to enjoy being around people. Don't let him enjoy being around, eating food or reading books. Make sure that he's focused on being around the best people. Make sure he's reading the right books. Make sure he's eating the right food. So it's you're encouraging that obsession that I have to find the ultimate in each of those pleasures. I can't just enjoy the pleasure for themselves.
I was wondering, like, sorry, when, how C.S. Lewis think about the Holy
Trinity.
Obviously Lewis is definitely a Trinitarian. He definitely believes in the Trinity. He believes in the active nature of all three persons of the Trinity. So I think that comes through in a lot of his works. But and again, I don't want to necessarily discount that, because I think you can see it a little bit here.
Yeah.
I think going back to what Frank said, that joy is the Spirit of the Lord, and allowing you to be able to connect with what God has done for us, all the things that God has given us.
But how I am joy of my divinity of does not let Satan over of me.
God doesn't let Satan overcome. We do. We give in. That's the distinction. Is that you're absolutely right, that God is defeated Satan for all time.
Yeah.
We're the ones that let him back in.
I mean that how Satan over kills me by ending toy with the children with my first left my staff and my first and empowered does not my friend and my fans and Papa and our house. I mean,
why don't you come up after and let's talk about that after, okay?
Yeah.
Alright, any other, we got just a couple of minutes, any other last thoughts? Again, do you see what I say, that 12 and 13 are a mirror of each other?
There's a point at the end where he says, let him do anything but act.
right.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, faith without works is dead. So, it's sort of like, it's okay if he thinks about it, but don't let him do anything.
Not that the doing itself doesn't do anything. It's that he's allowing that inner joy, that faith to express itself and to come out, is where it really starts to kind of pull us back towards God.
Right.
It's amazing. All right.
And yes.
Very good. We're gonna go ahead and close real quick, because I want to make sure that people have time.
Yes.
We have 10 minutes before the next service, so I want to make sure people have time to head off to the next service. But
Okay.
again, thank you all for another great conversation. I hope you're finding this as helpful as I am. But let's go ahead and close in prayer.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for the participation here and the willingness to share and discuss. You've given us a great gift with the faith that we have and the joy that wells up in us. We ask you to continue to let us to not go through the motions. Let us be present and to be aware as we serve you. Do with us this week. Let us be safe and be rested and come back